Hey guys, I need to clarify a couple things from this morning's book launch video. In retrospect, I should have been a little more explicit on a couple of these subjects, and I wasn't, and I apologize. But let me take care of that now. So first off, this book, The Foreigner Group, is not an attempt to whitewash Azov. I can, in retrospect, see how people would get that impression from the way that I kind of skipped over talking about Azov. The reality of the fact is we have no interest in whitewashing Azov. We don't contend that Azov is a sparkly, blameless organization. They did some nasty stuff. There are nasty people in Azov. But, and I recognize that there are going to be people watching who take issue with this, we don't think Azov is the focus, or needs to be, or should be, the focus of this book. Yes, this happened, the events that we are describing in this book took place under the label of Carolus joining a part of Azov. But what we are interested in, what we are focusing on, what his memoir focuses on, is sort of the tactical level boots on the ground, not the strategic political machinations that are going on. Carolus was essentially an infantryman. And what we like about his story is that it gives a pretty brutally honest assessment of how it works to be an infantryman in modern peer-to-peer combat, something that is significantly different from the form of warfare that we have gotten used to in the Middle East and North Africa for the last 20 years. If this were a book that was about glorifying Azov, we wouldn't be interested in it. Frankly, if it were a book that was glorifying Carolus and the men around him, we wouldn't be interested in it. The fact of the matter, having actually read the manuscript, I can tell you this, is that it's rather dark black assessment of, like, you know what? People who go off to join foreign wars as volunteers are not really role models. They are not necessarily often people who have all of their stuff squared away. We don't hold up Carolus to be a role model. He certainly doesn't hold himself up to be a role model in the narrative. And again, if this was just a rollicking, feel-good tale of high adventure to justify this or that, we wouldn't be interested in it. We are interested in it because it's not those things, because it is, we think, a valuable piece of firsthand experience in this style of combat, which we haven't seen much of in Europe. And frankly, I think it's really interesting to get an honest appraisal of what's the psychology like of the people who do this sort of thing, men who go off to fight as volunteers in a foreign war. And it's on that foundation that we think this book is worth publishing. So we don't have a series of litmus tests of who we are willing to listen to, whose stories we think ought to be able to be heard. Again, we don't hold Carolus up to be a role model. Neither does the book. I understand that there are some people out there who do believe in having a litmus test like that, and I would like to think that we can agree to disagree on that particular point. So, with that being said, I hope you will give us the benefit of the doubt, whether you are interested in this book personally or not, that we do in fact have editorial standards for it, that it will be a valuable contribution to the history of the conflict in Ukraine and to military history in general. And if it isn't, when the book is published and comes out and people have a chance to read it, we are certainly going to be willing to accept criticism for it. But we're pretty sure that frankly, it'll meet with widespread approval. And if we weren't pretty sure of that, we wouldn't have done this in the first place. So, like I said, I probably should have expanded on some of these points a little better in my initial launch. I was, again, perhaps naive to think that I didn't need to. Hopefully, this has reassured some folks who were concerned with, well, frankly, with me, and also with the manuscript and with Headstamp.